quite frankly, when I see a bunch of you not wearing your mask properly, it tells me that we need to stay in the masks longer. Some of you are going to get close to having too many write-ups for this, and you're going to have consequences. You won't like them. So please, wear this. It does help, and we need to work together to keep the numbers down. Thank you.
To another day of Week of Prayer. Please worship with us as we sing the next couple of songs, and I want to hear you sing loud.
You make the darkness run and hide. You bring the broken back to life. Only you can, only you can. You set me free from every chain. You fill my heart with songs of praise. Only you can, only you can. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to rhythm, to rhythm. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. You left the glory of your throne to bring this runaway back home. Only you can, only you can. You give me love, you give me life, you keep me dancing through the night. Only you can, only you can. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to rhythm, to rhythm. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. You move me, your freedom is consuming. I feel it rushing through me. I'll never be the same. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold me. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to rhythm, to rhythm. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Continue with us as we sing a new song that to me really represents how powerful God can be when you let him into your life. Peace, bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name still, call the sea to still, the rage in me to still every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus.
So I know that our lives can get pretty chaotic sometimes, and in the midst of everything, we forget who really takes care of us. So let's take this time and just open ourselves up to God and really know that He's there for us. I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now. I'm laying it down, and I know that I need you. I run to the Father. I fall in your grace. I'm done with the hiding. No reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon. My soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand. I can't comprehend. I know is I need you. I run to the Father. I fall and I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out. Just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart's found a surgeon, my soul's found a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 again and again. Oh, 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 again and again.
Hey guys, if you don't know already, I'm Emily and I'm a junior here. So before I start, I would just like to ask you guys a few quick questions. Okay, so my first question is this. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever been scared of something or maybe someone? Okay, and how many of you have ever faced that fear and overcame it? Okay, I know those aren't the most profound questions, but I just wanted to ask those so we can lean into a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay, well, on that note, I would just like to say a quick prayer before we start. Please pray with me. Dear God, thank you so much for this opportunity you have given me. Please help my words to be yours and that what I'm saying will reach someone tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, if you haven't guessed, tonight I'm going to be talking about fear. When I decided I wanted to speak for Week of Prayer, I knew this was immediately what I wanted to talk about. Because fear is something we face as teenagers for sure, all the time in our everyday lives. It may be present in your life as social or academic anxiety, other anxieties, or maybe just a phobia you have to face every day. Maybe it's a fear of the dark. Maybe it's a fear of birds. Or maybe it's a fear of crumpled up paper. Well, I had a pretty common fear that held me back a lot growing up, and it still did up until recently. This was the fear of heights. Or maybe it was just the fear of falling. To me, they were the same thing. Anyways, when I was 7 or so, my parents, siblings, cousins, and grandparents all loaded up on our cars, tightly packed, but most of us were small, so it worked, and we started driving. We were driving to Dollywood. Any of you guys been to Dollywood before? Okay. Well, this was my first time, but I was very short then. Not that too much has changed, but I was too short to ride any rides but the kiddie rides at the time. That was okay with me, but my family became obsessed with Dollywood, and we started to get season passes every year. Eventually, over the years, I got a little taller, tall enough to ride a real roller coaster, but something about them didn't appeal to me. They were tall, really tall, they were fast, a little too fast, and they went upside down. So, never mind, not something about them, everything about them did not appeal to me. Okay, so fast forward a little bit, I may be about 9 or 10, and this new ride was just finished at Dollywood. And of course, it was a roller coaster. It was called the Fire Chaser Express. And it was supposed to be this family-friendly ride for all ages. I was not planning on riding this ride. I was perfectly happy not to, and so was my sister. But God and my parents had different plans for us, I guess. So some strangers come up to my parents, as they tell us later, and offer them 2 fast passes or line skips, whatever you want to call them, because they were leaving the park and didn't want them to go to waste. These fast passes were to the Fire Chaser. My parents, the loving parents they are, think it would be a good idea for my sister and I, very small children, terrified of roller coasters at the time, to ride this ride. Because, we can't let the passes go to waste, right? So, without any say of my own at all, I find myself in line, a very long and drawn-out line, which gives me lots of time to think about how this could go wrong. 1, I could die. 2, I could fall out and die. 3, I could pass out and break my neck or something and die. 4, I could puke and it would go everywhere and I would be so embarrassed I would die. My odds were pretty bad, and this overthinking and obsessing I was doing in my head was not helping me out. Even though I was trying to wish and pray it all away, eventually my sister and I did make it to the front of the line, and we had to get on the ride. When we sat down in the carts, as I keep saying we were both pretty small, they lower the bar that's supposed to protect us, hold us in, and it feels kind of, maybe I was just super paranoid, but it felt a little loose. By this point, my sister and I are already crying and holding hands, and we keep saying that we're going to be fine, that we're going to survive. But it didn't seem like either of us believed it. We worked ourselves up so much. We were having trouble breathing, we were crying so much, and it seemed like they were taking forever to start the ride. And I'm surprised, looking back, that no one had us removed from the ride, because we were a mess. But as the ride was finally about to start, I looked over at my parents, who were waving goodbye to us. What did I not find comforting? Then I look at my sister, then I look ahead. If you've ridden the ride before, as I'm sure some of you have, you know it starts off super fast as it pulls forward and takes off, and it kind of scares you. Like, you think the ride's going to be really bad. Well, it scared me, obviously, and I grabbed my sister, closed my eyes, and started saying a prayer. When I tell you, I prayed the entire time, I do not kid you. I did. I prayed the whole ride because I was afraid. I was afraid to ride the ride, to get on it. I was afraid something was going to go wrong. I was afraid I wasn't going to enjoy the ride. But as I got off the ride, tears dried by then, alive, safe, and happy, I realized that I kind of actually enjoyed the ride. And I wondered why I had been so afraid to ride it. I wondered why something so thrilling, so exciting and unexpected, even safe, could be something to be afraid of. And now I want to ask you another question. Why is it that we are so reluctant of the thrilling things in life? Why do we stray away from something so amazing, life-changing, fulfilling, and exciting? I'll leave you with that for a moment as I talk about one more encounter I've had with fear. I'm talking about social anxiety. I know, not something everyone wants to talk about, but too many people, me included, are or were held back by fears like this, and I'm proof that through God, it doesn't always have to be that way. Okay, since my freshman year, I noticed that I wasn't very social. I was sort of a recluse by nature. I didn't really want to be around people all the time. Don't get me wrong, I like people, and I don't mind being around them, but I never felt like I needed to. You know what I mean? I didn't go to rec often. When I had a free period, I would almost always be in my room. I would miss events sometimes, and at the time, I was okay with that. I was comfortable, you could say, living in fear. But I didn't really recognize that it was a fear I was giving into until later on. So my sophomore year, as we came back from online school, and the COVID year, as Mr. Hur calls it, I wanted a fresh start, a new year where I would be more social, do more, put myself out there. But something was still holding me back from that, and it wasn't just myself. Again, it was the anxious feelings and the fear I was having. All of last year, I struggled with this. I tried to fight it. It was holding me back from the things I wanted to do, eventually up until the point I didn't even want to do those things anymore. I didn't want to be social because I just thought that's who I am now. So I stopped trying to fight this fear. And maybe that's where I got it all wrong. Let me explain a little bit. Over this summer, which was a really good summer, by the way, Kenya was so much fun, and I really recommend going on a mission trip. But anyways, over this summer, I tried to change my mindset. I tried to make my life more fulfilling. I tried to fix my relationship with God. I tried to overcome my fears. Key word in all that, if you didn't catch it, is I. That's where I went wrong. Not what I was trying to do. Those things were all good and fine. It's just that I was trying to do them all by myself. I thought it was my responsibility, my problem that I needed to fix, all by myself. The thing is, you can't. You are strong and talented, and God has given you many abilities in life, but He has also given you the need to trust and rely on Him. We aren't meant to overcome our fears by ourselves. We need God. We aren't meant to be perfect, with a perfect life, with everything all figured out. We need God. Our life isn't going to be all that we want unless we have God in it at the wheel. Maybe this is confusing, but stick with me a little longer. I've tried to do it all on my own. I've tried asking God to give me the strength to overcome my fears, my anxiety, and what was holding me back from Him, but that's not necessarily how it works. You can't be halfway committed. We don't get to keep one hand on the wheel. We have to let Him take full control. Then He can drive us on the path He has planned for us, which doesn't include fear that holds us back. Okay, so back to the story. Beginning of my junior year, again, I thought of it as a fresh start, which it kind of turned out to be later, but as the year started, in the first week, it seemed all wrong. GCA didn't seem like my school anymore. My friends didn't seem like my friends. My world seemed all wrong and cloudy, and my anxiety was pretty bad. I felt so far away from God. My life just really sucked, I told myself. Don't be like me. Don't listen to Satan. Those things I thought were true, what I was feeling, they were all lies. And I believed them for a while. I tired of it, though. I didn't want to believe those lies anymore. I didn't want to live in fear. And I didn't want anxiety to have such a grip on my life. So when I was very low, and I didn't see what else I could do, I decided to finally let go of the wheel and give God full control, which was the best decision of my life, and it was long overdue. Many times does the Bible speak on fear. It has over 365 verses talking about it. That's not a coincidence. God knows that we all face fears every day, but He didn't create us to be that way. That many verses are there on purpose, just like God created us on purpose with a purpose, and that purpose is not to be fearful. We could look at any of these 365 verses, but tonight I want to focus on just one story that speaks to me. This is found in Mark 4, where we see just one instance of Jesus calming the storm. Okay, so we're in Mark 4, verses 35 to 40. And it says, "On that day when evening had come, He said to them, 'Let us go across the other side.' And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion, and they woke him and said to him, 'Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?' And he woke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, 'Peace, be still.' And the wind ceased, and there was a calm." There was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Okay, I know that we hear this story a lot, and it's used many times in sermons or talks about fear, But I just wanted to read and share this anyways because it can be really applicable to my story, and I'm sure yours too. The storm in the story was just like my life before God was in it. I was afraid, confused, blinded, and I felt like I was drowning in anxiety and fear. The disciples were terrified. They were terrified of the storm, yes, but they were so blinded by fear that they didn't notice that the creator of the wind and the waves, Jesus, was in the boat with them, sleeping. Is it possible that we let fear cloud our vision so much that we don't think to call on the one that can bring peace? I know we all go through storms in life, but could it be that we just need to allow God, who is right there with us on our boat, to take the wheel, to take control? Then he can calm our storms. These verses are there to show us that we aren't made to be afraid, that we shouldn't be afraid. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that we should never, ever be afraid, because we're human and it's going to happen. But living in constant fear, that only holds us back from living life, from a life with God. And why should we be afraid? God has a plan for us. He knows what's going to happen in the next hour, the next day, the rest of the week, and the rest of our lives. I know it's easier to say, harder to do, but just try to imagine this. What if you woke up every day and decided you were going to put all your trust in God? What if you woke up every day and chose that you were not going to be afraid anymore? If you did that every day, you would be happier, and life would be filled with peace because you wouldn't have to worry about what's to come, because you would know that God is in complete control. You see, you can't live a life with God and with fear at the same time. You have to pick. So, do you want to live a fearless, happy, exciting, and very fulfilling life, or do you want a life in fear, where you don't live fulfilled and happily, scared of what's to come and what's next? That's no way to live, at least not the way I want to, and I hope you wouldn't want to either. As I close, I would just like to speak to the anxious in the room, the scared or unsure. It doesn't matter what you're afraid of or what is holding you back from the plan God has for you, but I know that with God, you can overcome those fears. With God and only with Him can you step out of a life of fear and into the life God intended you for. And I promise you, if you do, you won't regret it. It's worth it. God is worth it, and He thinks you're worth it too. Let me pray for you guys. Dear God, thank you so much for giving me this amazing opportunity to be your vessel and be here, sharing my experience. Thank you for everyone here tonight and those who aren't. Please help us to understand that you want to transform our lives and take away our fear, because you only want what's best for us. God, I thank you for always being there for us, even when we don't think you are. Help and remind us to keep our eyes on you. You are so amazing, and thank you again that I got to share you with everyone tonight. In your name I pray, amen.
The atmosphere is changing now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around. The Spirit of the Lord is here. The atmosphere is changing now, for the the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflow in this place, fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. The atmosphere is changing now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around. The Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflow in this place, fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done here as in heaven. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done here as in heaven. Overflow in this place, fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. A miracle can happen now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Juliana will be speaking tomorrow, so tune in, and you guys are dismissed.